evening and welcome to Conversations with Entrepreneurs. So Judy's little swing thing here real quick.
Oh, Julie.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing as good as we can, fam. Thank you for asking.
Me here.
Look, let's start out with Chanel. What's going on, Chanel?
Hey, present. Present today. Chanel here with Moonglit Travel. I'm doing all right tonight. Great to see you, beautiful people.
Julie?
Here. No, Julie Logan with J. Logan Business Support Services and Popcorn Heaven, Still Creek. Good to see everybody.
I'm almost scared to call Jeff and Dion. I'm going to weed through this one. Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
I'm here too. Jeff White, Yes We Did Virtual Learning Center. Happy to be here.
Hey, Dion?
I'm actually back. I haven't been here, right? So glad to see everybody. So happy to be here with everyone. Hope everyone's well, for sure.
Yeah, we've been missing Dion. So I'm glad everyone's here. We're all present. We're in attendance today, so this is great. This is the beginning of our 1-year anniversary of Conversations with Entrepreneurs. We actually started on Blog Talk Radio, April of 2020, because we wanted to spark conversation about the pandemic. And over this past year, it has evolved into something I don't think any of us thought it was going to be. So for the next month or two, we're going to be speaking about that and reminiscing. And so we're hoping you're going to join the conversation with us. But tonight, we want to talk about our communities, what's been going on. So the first thing I want to talk about is how we felt about the George Floyd verdict. We'll start with you, Jeff and Dion. I'm gonna let you guys start out first. Dion?
Yeah, again, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this great team right here. And wow, what a year we've had, and I appreciate you guys. I got so much love for y'all. Had not just globally, but personally, we've had a lot happen in this year. So real thankful for you guys. And just to be very direct with the Derek Chauvin case and the conviction, I heard Van Jones, the CNN guy that comes on CNN every now and then. He was talking, he said two things that stuck out to me in articulation. It was it spoke to exactly what my mind and heart feels. He said, before the conviction, he said, people are afraid to hope, because it's been so railroaded before. And so it's been a joke before, and people have, you can have all the videotape and you can have everything that seemingly should make it easier, but depending on who, what, where, and when relative to this policing and this systemic racism and all this other kind of stuff, he said, we're afraid to hope. He said, people are afraid to hope because they don't want to be disappointed, let down, surprised, shocked, and all those other things. Then after the conviction, he was talking about how, now we're waiting for people are waiting for the sentencing to see if it's going to reflect the conviction. It was two black gentlemen let out of prison this past week. One was let out after 27 years of serving time for stealing 2 shirts. And one was let out after 20-something years. Me and Alethea were talking about for stealing some hedge clippers, So we see things like this that seem very cut and dry. And Van Jones said this. He said, post conviction, he said, we're not used to winning, but we're used to dying. And it's a eerie reality that we're talking, our conversation, as much as we do address current events and things of that nature, our conversation is wrapped around business, wrapped around being entrepreneurial, and wrapped around giving legacies and leaving legacies and making smarter moves and things of that nature. It's wrapped around that. and there is so much that, you know, we always have to keep in the forefront of us. The color of our skin and how people will deal with us and how we have to conduct our own selves and to try to stay off as much harm from different angles and all this kind of stuff, let alone systems and things of that nature. So the conviction was, I'm glad for it. I do like the black and white, no pun intended, the message of it. I do want to see what the sentencing will be. And, you know, if I could ask, I would love for us to revisit it after the sentencing. You know, that's kind of how I feel about that.
Well, Jeff?
I thought he was going to get off, first off. I'm so used to, I remember Rodney King.
Yeah.
I remember I was sitting with a friend of mine and we were watching the news and they showed on the news and we both were like, what? Because we had never seen nothing like that before. And we were blown away. And we were like, oh, they're going to get time. They're going to go to jail for 20, 30 years. I literally watched the court case. And I remember thinking, what? Something's not adding up here. They really going to try to get these guys off, because I distinctly remember them going frame by frame of showing how Rodney King was bringing his arm up. And the lawyer was saying, well, that looked like a sign of aggression to the cop. I mean, they were literally frame by frame. And so they were thinking, okay, well, they got to swing because he's putting his arm up, so they think he's being aggressive. I mean, they were doing millisecond by millisecond frame shots and saying, okay, this is why the cop is bringing the baton up like this, because Rodney King is doing like this. And so I'm like, okay, they're going to get these guys off. They're going to let them off. And so I'm to the point now, I'm desensitized. I am desensitized because if I internalize every single case, I will go crazy. Literally, I will go crazy. So I'm to the point now, I expect trouble. I expect cops. Not all cops, let me just say that. Not all cops, but some cops look for a reason to mess with you.
Right.
They look for a reason and they will be justified in doing it. And so I'm to that point now where nothing surprises me. We've seen black men running from cops, shot in the back, they get off. We see a guy in his car, he says he has a gun, he has a license to carry the gun, it's in his, on his side. The cop sees it, still shoots him, he still gets off. So for me, this is like, okay, this is just another day of them killing people, unarmed black people, women, whatever. So I expect it. If they get convicted, I'm surprised at this point. So I don't internalize it anymore. I just know, and Dion, you kind of touched on this before we came on. You got to look at the history of this country. And people, you got to look at the big picture. This country was built on oppression. This country was built on stealing land from Native Americans. This country was built on the backs of black people. This country was built on all types of oppression. Around the world, the U.S. has military bases. They're building military bases for a sign of intimidation and control. So why would anyone be surprised at what we're seeing in the country today? This is what it's built on. It's built on holding people back in oppression.
Right.
So for me, I don't see, this is just business as usual. Growing up in Chicago, I remember Chicago riots. I wasn't born, but I saw the after effects. I remember seeing the burned out buildings for 20 years after the riots. I lived in Chicago and I saw all types of racial relations, and black people couldn't go in certain neighborhoods because you would get in trouble. So unfortunately, this is the world we live in. And to be honest with you, these type of things is what fuels me as an entrepreneur, because I want to do everything I can to get myself out of that situation and not be around any type of danger I could get in from, police officers. And I think that's something our community needs to remember. They looking for reasons to mess with us. Whether you like it or not, whether you get upset or not, whether we march or not, they are going to continue to do it until some type of massive change happens. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So what can we do? We can keep protesting, we can keep marching, but we also got to keep doing something on our end. And we got to do something in our community to limit the reasons for them to mess with us. We got to do something. You know, I don't know that I don't have the answers, but I just know that we got to come together as a people. We got to get these businesses going. We got to get our young people off the street. We got to stop them from doing some illegal things. They look for reasons to mess with us. They will mess with us even if you just drive down the street. I know that. I get that. But at the same time, don't have warrants. Don't do illegal stuff to give them more of a reason. They just look for reasons to mess with us. And the more we can limit those reasons, the better off we can be. So, like I said, the point I'm trying to make is this is what they do. And they have the backing of the state, millions of dollars to get off. All these legal loopholes. And unfortunately, we're just in a rough spot because this is just how the country has been for centuries. Not all cops are like that. I could never say that because I have a cop in my complex. He's a very nice guy. He's a white gentleman. He's a white cop. Very nice guy. He gives us, my son and I go riding every day, and he gave us lights and reflectors for our bikes. Very nice guy. So you can't say all cops are bad. But my question to that is, how do you know they're good? How do you know? So I go in very cautiously because I don't know what type of person I'm encountering. So I just have to be very careful and just be mindful of who I'm dealing with. But we got to find a way to just limit our exposure to these people because they are looking for reasons to mess with us, period.
Oh, wow. So for me, I think I started watching the trial a couple weeks back, and it was very hard to watch, just like it was watching the video a year ago. But I had to stop because just like Jeff, it didn't look good. I was like, they're coming up with all of these reasons to make it right, you know, and that was tough to see. But when I heard the verdict, I actually didn't even watch them reading the verdict. I just heard my husband start screaming. And I was like, oh, okay, that must be something good. But like you said, Deanna, it's the sentencing. And that's just one person. Think about so many other cases where we didn't get this verdict, or we didn't even get this far as a society and as a community. So I agree, Jeff. It's tough. It's challenging as a Black woman. It's challenging as a Black person. It's challenging as a wife to a Black husband and a, mom with Black kids. How do I explain this to my children? What can you tell them to do or to not to do? What can I do as a, upholding citizen in my community? I'm not dibbling dabbling in an illegal activity. However, I still can be fearful when I come around certain people, and not just cops. You could literally be walking down your block and be harassed, as we just recently saw in South Carolina.
Saw that.
It's challenging. It really is. But like you said, I wasn't surprised. I didn't even anticipate either direction, honestly. Glad to see what we came out with that situation, but there's more to come. And there, unfortunately, this isn't the end, like you said, Jeff. Unfortunately, I don't see a solution in near. But we just have to support each other and love up on each other and take care of our community as best as we can. So.
Thanks, Chanel. Jill?
Yeah. So I got to take a deep breath like Chanel did. I'm kind of like Jeff. I'm numb to it all because it happens so frequently, so often that by the time you understand and grasp one case, here's another one coming. But, you said something, Jeff, about, don't give them reasons to mess with us. You could just be driving down your street and have a brake light out and not even know it and get stopped. And that can escalate into something so crazy. It's unfortunate, but that's the world that we live in, right? So then what can we do about it? What can we do for our young men and women? Can we add more mentorship programs, sponsorships? Education that tells them more. It's going to take beyond the parents telling these kids, when you get stopped or if you XYZ, here's what you need to do so that you can come home alive and safe, right? Not just only for our kids. Lately, it's been adults. What do we do with adults? How do you mentor them? How do you sponsor them, right? how are you able to share with them when you get stopped? You know, do XYZ. It's just so much and so unfortunate that we have to, our society's having to operate that way these days. Um, I didn't watch the trial for the George Floyd, but I was in my store and it was just like I might as well been watching the trial because XM radio started blurting out everything. My news feed on my phone, my iPad, everything just started blowing up at that time. And so that's when I was able to get caught up on it. But um, I think as our community, Black African American, as with other communities, we have to come together even more. Have y'all heard any more about the Asian hatred on the Asian community lately? You see how that done come and gone?
Yes.
So I'm sure their community came together to figure out, you know, what they need to do so it don't happen again. Why can't we do that? We can. It's not why. We can do it, and we should do it, and be there in support of each other. That's all I can say.
Julie, I agree with you because they actually got that passed in the Senate as well.
They did. Julie, they did some amazing legislation in a very expedient manner relative to the Asian community.
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Why can't this community do things like that expeditiously?
Well, I think some of the connection is what the Asians have connected with those that are not Black in this country. Their connection is different. The legislation that we've been trying to get passed for years, based on the simplest vote. We vote on if we're going to still be able to vote every 25 years, and there are other communities, other races of people that come into this country and they handle them and work with them in a manner that we just have never been afforded, I'll say, and I don't want to play victim and get pity or nothing like that. One of the things that Jeff was talking, I'm gonna be real fast. One of the things Jeff was saying, what we was touching on earlier, it's ironic that Derek Chauvin pled not guilty. He pled not guilty in his case. Now listen, I've been Black for a long time. When you plead not guilty and you go face the jury and you get all the sentencing, you're supposed to get all that time. You know what I mean? Because you tried your hand, you didn't take the plea deal and the plea bargain, so you can get the book thrown at you if you don't get it exonerated and thrown out and all that other stuff. But he pled not guilty. It was ironic, Julie. His last name is Chauvin, like that goes with chauvinistic or chauvinism, and our country suffers from that. We suffer from it, and because it's not tailor-made for people other than who it's tailor-made for, and so just speaking real quickly, and I'm gonna stop. When you're not allowed to grieve, right, the product becomes what you and Jeff said. You lose sensitivity, you get numb, the compassion drains. And when I see other people, other races get handled by the police a certain way, my heart goes out to them because I don't want that for anyone. And there is also this challenge to my character to not start keeping score some kind of way. It's hard to not go, well, you've been doing it to us for 400 years, then it's bound to happen. It's terrible. It's a conundrum. It tears the soul, and you wrestle with a lot of, I don't want to call them morality issues, character issues, because I don't want anybody to be mishandled. And if you're wrong, take them to jail. Don't kill them. And I don't care what color you are. And then it becomes very personal, like even all the way to this episode with Elizabeth City that's tied directly to all of us a certain way. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I think for me, and kind of what you were saying, Chanel, too, it's a little different, right? Like Tatiana's generation has had to deal with this constantly. Jeff pointed out, we had the guy in California, Rodney King, right? That was like the worst we had seen at that point. But Tatsi's generation is seeing this constantly, like with Trayvon Martin, Skittles in a can of tea. They had to contend with this. He was wearing a hoodie. So now our kids are not safe just doing their trend when they're in college wearing hoodies. And it's not only I have to deal with letting my daughter know, because my daughter is dating these young men who have targets on their back. They're good guys, got degrees in college. No one's seeing that about them. They're a young Black man with a hood. Now we got people putting signs on the stores, don't come in the store with a hood. When the pandemic first happened, they were telling Black men not to wear face masks when they came in the store because they were intimidated by a Black man having a mask on, even if it's for medical purposes at this point. There's so much we can do, We said, don't shoot, hands up. Did it work? No, it didn't work. Had his hands on the steering wheel, kept shooting. He was driving away, he got shot. He was a lieutenant in the military. They told him he was going to ride the light and avoid traffic stop. We have all these images almost every day. The Chauvin verdict was barely in our spirit for an hour before we started seeing a flow of more and more and more. In our community, as parents, as entrepreneurs, what do? What can we do? Now, I understand the backlash. We have our right to protest, not to riot and do all this other stuff. That's just not how we're going to get our message out, because then that's what they label us as. They're trying their best now to label Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. It's peaceful protest. A couple people act up, that doesn't define the protest. There's always these different things to nitpick. And my fear is, what will my daughter really have to contend with in her future? How many of her friends is she going to be able to look at CNN or these other documentaries and say, I went to school with him? Because we've done that already. We've had those instances since we've been living here in Charlotte. And just this past week, she sent me a text of a shootout that they had over here on W.G. Harris and Sugar Creek Road. It was a guy she went to school with. I don't know, as a parent, and I have a daughter. I don't have a son. And so now, am I supposed to be afraid of my daughter being around somebody else's son? Like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to say? We understand the impact to the communities when the stores have to be boarded up for the protest to make sure nothing gets out of hand. But it goes deeper than that. And like Jeff was trying to point out too, as entrepreneurs, what can we do in our communities? How can we reach out? What difference can we make at this point? What type of social impact can we create? It's just for our immediate communities. We have to start somewhere. Just for our immediate. My niece, my youngest niece, her oldest daughter, goes to AT&T in Greensboro. She was at the protest in Elizabeth City. My family is from that area. I grew up in that area. So I'm watching them go through this. I can't go over there now because, quite frankly, honestly, I don't like going there because they always mess with me when I drive in that town. So being a woman don't even matter. They pull me over every little teeny thing, keep me on the side of the road trying to run everything. Pull me over asking for my social security card. You said I was speeding. What you need my social security card for? I was speeding, but I wasn't speeding. They try to find every little teeny thing to nitpicks, at you when you're going, especially through these little rural counties and stuff like that. So this is a hard pill to swallow, again, because we just thought we got justice. And it didn't even get a chance to sink in before we were just getting smacked in the face with another case and another case and another case and another case. It can be deafening after a while. And we can grow sort of immune to it when we hear it. Because everybody likes to ask that first question, what did he do? So what they do is they release their background or any type of police activity they've ever had. That means try to define they deserve this. Jeff was saying, we got to get our own businesses, but remember, every time we try to have a Black Wall Street, what happened? So we want to tell, everybody entrepreneurship is the way to go, but then we remember, even when we excel to that level, how they came back at us. So what do? How do we start collaborating with our government officials or anything like that for our businesses, for our children, for the next generation, so we can actually finally start seeing the sunlight at the end of the tunnel?
I think that's such a poignant question, because there is this tie with our community that is very relative to economics. And just like Jeff was saying and Julie echoed, and reality is we know you can be Black affluent, Henry Louis Gates, and lock yourself out of your own house, climb in your own window in your own affluent neighborhood in Boston, and you're a Harvard professor, and the police still arrest you at your own house. We know that can happen. So as much as we can remove from, a lot of our entrepreneurial efforts, I'm just be real, in our communities, our entrepreneurial efforts, they can start out very illegal, and we got to move away from all things like that, things like that. And these are, I know we're just having an open air discussion because I don't know if anybody has the exact answer. While you were talking, me and my daughter, we did an exercise today. I was talking to my granddaughter, but me and my daughter did an exercise. There are 7 stages of grief, right? And that grief that we've never got to process from some of the things that we've gone through, right? And those 7 stages are shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression. Then the last 3 are the upward turn, reconstruction, acceptance of hope. So I'm gonna eliminate them last 3 because we're not there yet. We haven't been there yet. So we started subscribing and ascribing times. Shock and denial is like the 1700s, because I believe with some Black people here already, right? Some of these indigenous people we talk about, I think they were Black. But 1700, shock and denial. A whole group of Black people come over here like, what in the world is fitting to happen? Shock and denial. Pain and guilt, that's slavery. Anger and bargaining is post-slavery. Jim Crow, Willie Lynch, all that garbage we went through. And then the depression, it kicks in after like the civil rights, because the civil rights was like that Derek Chauvin case. Like, oh my God, we got some rights. And then it just lets you know after a few years that, whatever you thought, it's limited or whatever the case may be. It is very important about our perception and all of that, no matter what we have to work through. I thought of this question too while you were talking to fam. Chanel, because Chanel does all the traveling. As you travel abroad, Chanel, how do people view, you and your family, or what is your experience relative to, just engaging with different cultures? You can start locally, meaning nationally, and go to international, because I know you go around the globe. You're a globetrotter, right?
That I am. And good question, Dion. And not just for me, I've traveled, and unfortunately, I've never come into any critical situations, but even my clients, I have Black travelers who question, where is it safe for me to go? Where can I go without being, discriminated against or harassed? And why should we have that thought? I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm supposed to be living my best life, enjoying a new, destination. But the first thing that I have to worry about is, am I going to be treated unfairly because of the color of my skin, which I think is just absurd. But I haven't had any specific situations or incidents that come across, but it's something that's always on the back of my mind. Where can I go here? Or should I shop here? Or if I stay here, am I going to be looked at a certain way? Or, all those things that we face, unfortunately, in our home. But you also have to worry about traveling domestically and internationally as well, which is sad.
Yeah, I agree. Jeff, you look like you had something else you want to say.
no matter what we do, they're gonna come at us. We gotta remember that. So that's the part where I'm desensitized. I think it's a lot of it is fear. It's fear, and they want to maintain control. And I'm talking about a select few, not it's like a power struggle.
Yes.
And it's just a way to oppress people. And I can speak from personal experience because I remember when I was in college, I was riding in a car with this girl, and the cops stopped us, and they stopped us because we looked suspicious, and they pulled us out the car, searched the car, and guy had his hand on his hip, and the girl was mad. She was mad. I mean, she was furious. And I was like, don't even give them a reason. Don't do it, because it's like they antagonize you. They poke the bear to get the reaction. And we have to remember that. That's why I said earlier, whatever we can, we have to limit our encounters with them as much as we can. Because at the same time, if they really want to pull you over, they will. But let's see if we can just give them a damn good reason to pull us over. And not just because we've done some illegal stuff. And ironically, Dion, I just want to say this real quick, and I'm going to leave that alone. A lot of businesses that we see today were started with illegal activities. You can go to Miami right now. A lot of those high-rise buildings were built via illegal activities. So this is why you gotta know your history. So unfortunately, you got people today saying black people do all this crime and stuff. Well, if you look in your history, my man, you will see that some of your grandfathers and great-grandfathers did a whole lot of legal stuff, and they started businesses that are legal now, but now you want to call us out. Right. Look in your own family history before you start talking about us. So that burns me up, but people look for a reason to mess with us. And as far as businesses, like you said, Alethea, yes, they burn down Black Wall Street and a bunch of others, but damn it, we got to keep trying. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sorry to say, and we talked about this before we got on, you can speak out, you can be a protester, and your job finds out and they will try to get rid of you. You say the wrong thing and your job will come at you and let you go. All the more reason we got to start on businesses so we can support each other during times like this. And I'm going to just say this. I'm not a big fan of politicians because I don't trust them. I think they all have their ulterior motives. So we have to work on helping ourselves from the bottom up. How many Asian politicians do you see? I don't see that many, but that communities are thriving because they work together. That's something we got to do. We got to start working together, period. I may not agree with everything Julie does or Chanel or Deanna or Alethea, but you know what? Hey man, we got this common goal that we got to work on. I don't have to like every single thing you do. I don't have to agree with every political opinion you have. But at the end of the day, what do we have to do to build our community? Put those differences aside. Let's teach our young people how they can make money legally. If you can stand on the block for 20 hours a day to make money, you can do the same thing legally. Come on, Jeff. How can you work 20 hours illegally to often get paid, but you don't want to do it legally? Right. Transfer some of that ambition to something legal so they cannot take it from you. Absolutely. That's what we got to work on. We got to give our young people hope and know there's more out there than just playing ball or selling drugs or doing something illegal to get paid. There's a lot we can do, but it's not taught. Right. They don't teach this stuff, so we got to work on this ourselves. So it's very frustrating for me because I don't ever see them giving it to us. We got to take it. And when I say take it, we have to start creating our own with or without their help, because in a lot of instances, they just don't want to help us. They want to keep us down. And a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is fear tactics and intimidation, but we have to accept it. I'm going to say this, it's kind of sad. You all remember the movie Alien? Not Alien, Independence Day with Will Smith.
Yep.
And they had that alien in the Hangar 54, and he had that guy around the neck, and they said, we want peace. And the alien said, no peace. And then they said, well, what do you want? I want you to die. Unfortunately, that is how some people feel about us. No matter how much we protest, no matter how we try to be nice, that is how a small segment of the population feels about us. I can't worry about y'all. I got to focus on me, my community, and the people who are going to work with me so we can work together. I'm not finna waste my time trying to persuade you that I'm nice and I'm not
Right.
here to hurt you or threaten you. I don't have time for that.
No.
I don't have time.
Right.
I beg you to like me. I got to do my own thing. I'm going to build my community. I'm going to work with my people. And you do what you got to do, and I got to do what I got to do. It's just that simple.
I agree.
I agree too. Thank you for mentioning that too, Jeff, because we can't stay illegal. And because NASCAR was illegal too, Jeff.
Yeah.
They were running things but they became a whole sports entity and things of that nature. There is a manner, and I appreciate your word. That was so true, man. It was so true.
Same thing with liquor.
Bootlegging. Yeah.
And
And you know what? It's so funny. I gotta say this real quick.
Yeah.
People talk about Chicago, because you know I'm from Chicago, from the South Side. They talk about all the crime in Chicago. Hello, can we talk about Al Capone? What color was Al Capone? Where was Al Capone? What was he doing in Chicago?
Absolutely, Jeff.
Of course, no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about how they love movies like The Godfather and Scarface, you know, and Goodfellas. They glamorize that crime. They make millions off of that. But I'm not saying what we're doing is right. But all of a sudden, what we doing is the worst thing they ever seen in their life while they're watching Godfather Part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right, Jeff. It's true, brother. And people reflect on how the gang situation is in Chicago. Everybody on this panel has a very good idea of spirituality. It's some seeds sown all the way back from Al Capone and them, Jeff. For real. It is, brother. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jeff, because you take a look at it, we still have young Black men and women in jail for selling marijuana. Yet you have all these states right now that is legal in, and people are making hundreds of millions, but there's still people serving time for this. And there are states that are not willing to do it, and I can't speculate, but my big guess is that's just too much of a ruin their turnover to not be able to at least grab somebody off of the streets for it. But all these little different things, they try to change it around and it makes it okay, but then it's still harder for us to even be able to sell it. You know, they get these stores, they got these farms, and they're making hundreds of millions, and people are still getting arrested just for some little baggies here and there. Now, I'm not saying
this is a big business too, don't forget.
Yeah.
They make a whole lot of money off of us.
You
Big business too, juvenile facilities, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and let's not forget when they have these lawsuits and they settle with these police, where that money comes from. It comes from our tax dollars.
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. Julie?
Well, I'm gonna, I agree with everything that everybody has said, but at the end of the day, until we come together as a community, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
They may come at us, they may try to find whatever it is to come at us, but the Bible said, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So what does that mean? We have it within us. We have the power. We have the love, and we have the sound mind to make a change. When are we coming together to do that? We could talk about it all day long. We're going to talk about it, do something about it. For all of those that are listening, it's time for us to come together as a community, to collaborate, to change this thing that they've got over us. And the only way that we remove this thing is we have the power to change it.
I agree.
Teach people how to treat you.
Exactly.
Period. That's my quote for today.
And we're going to start doing our share of it too, as we, in the coming months, when we start launching our entrepreneurship classes, we'll be able to share that portal soon, and we're going to start doing that. We're going to start reaching out and start mentoring some of these entrepreneurs and start building on that.
Yeah. young and old. There are still entrepreneurs who are just starting out. You know, we didn't know everything when we started out, did we?
Exactly.
We had the resources, and we spoke it, and we talked to people. And so people need to learn how to not keep their mouth shut. If you need something, speak about it, because you never know what the next person can do or provide for you. Our community is notorious for that. I don't need nobody. I need all the help I can get because I don't know everything. I don't. So until we can get to that point, and asking for help and providing each other with resources, what I know you should know. That's how we're gonna get ahead. That's how we're gonna be powerful and stop them from treating us any kind of way.
It's time to let go. I got mine, so you need to get yours. No. We're not
Yep.
taking that route. We're not taking that route. What I know, I'm going to help you get to know too, because the paths are different, regardless of the information that you absorb. The paths are different. You know, they're different. I may want to try to do somewhere different company, but there's some of the rules that still work for you. You know, the paths are different. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is power, right? Getting some weird messages popping up on my thing here. Not sure why. So I think we had a good show tonight, you guys. We're going to start with last words, Chanel.
I'm going to piggyback on what Julie just said about, us coming together. We've always talked about starting your businesses and thriving businesses, but then also just supporting each other and coming together. Not just about business, but about life, about family, about community, about culture. We're in it together. And until we band together and step up, we're not going to see much change. But then I also don't want to have all the pressure on our shoulders. Why should we have to change? Like you said, Dion, I've been Black for a long time, and that's not going to change. So I can't help that you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason that you feel uncomfortable when I'm driving in my car or I'm walking down the street. That's systematic. And we are a long way, unfortunately, away from those types of changes. But we need allies. We need for the other, races who are seeing this unjust to speak up and to support the movement of just equality. I'm not saying I want anything more or less. I just want to be treated fair, just like anyone else. So that's kind of how I'll end the night.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that there are a lot of people of other races who are wanting to help and support us. I would be so wrong if I didn't mention that, because I have so many friends of different races who have helped me tremendously over the years. I remember when I was a lifeguard in Chicago, I'll never forget this guy. He was a older white man, and he was just talking to me. I forget where he was from, but he was telling me sometimes in life you got to do things you don't want to do. You have to work hard to be successful. Don't let no one hold you back. And he was just schooling me and telling me some things that I had never had anyone tell me before. When I was a broker, I had so many people take me under their wing and mentor me and tell me things. So it's important to remember you can't just shut everyone out. There are a lot of people out there who want to help that may not know how. They may not know how. And another thing we got to remember as far as our young people, we have to give them hope. We have to give them something to look forward to, because we have so many of our young people who are just living life, living fast and dying young because they don't see anything in their future for some of them. So we have to do everything we can to help each other, give our young people hope. And I'm a capitalist. I'm big on business. If we give our young people something to do, something to look forward to, something to keep them off the streets and keep them out of trouble, we can decrease their chances of running to the cops. We can never eliminate it, unfortunately, and sometimes they will just come at us for whatever reason, and that's just part of life. But the fact of the matter is, like Julie and Chanel said, we got to come together and start working together, period. Because there's a segment of the population who doesn't care if we live or die. And they are happy to see these cop cases. They're happy to see us get gunned down. And we have to accept the fact that there's a segment of the population out there like that. And we cannot try to keep persuading them that we're safe. I just how I feel about it. And I I don't have the time. I'm getting old. I don't have time to persuade people who don't like me, who will never like me, to like me. So I have to focus on the people who do. All races, and we must start working together as a people, because if we start working together as a people, then others will join in even more to help us take it to the next level.
I agree. Dion?
I just want to make it very plain that pro-black does not mean anti-anything. I love black. I love being black. I love all the idiosyncrasies, all the problems, all the issues, and I love all the successes. I love our glory as well. I do. And I'm very thankful for it. And yes, if we can't get to unity, we got to get to uniformity some kind of way. We know for a fact that the biggest color in this country is not black or white, it is green. And the way we pool, God bless you, Chanel, the way we pool the resources that we have together. And it's, listen, man, it's everything everybody said. We gonna build it. If they burn it down, we gotta build it back. We gonna travel, and we gotta keep it in the back of our mind, even when we the owner. Julie is resourceful in so many different ways, and it's a way we have to conduct ourselves and work and cooperate and things of that nature, and things, you know, and we got to do that dance Chanel was saying, and like you were saying, fam, you know, and like Jeff was saying, listen, I'm too old to be worried about too many more people that give a damn about me. I can't keep doing that. You know what I mean? My time is limited too, and I have business to conduct. I have things to do. You know what I mean? So I can't give that so much attention, but I also do have to appropriate and articulate and do these things that take me sometimes out of what would be very convenient or comfortable for me. And so I can be productive and get more, to give more, and things of that nature. And so I'm so thankful for this podcast, Alethea, and so thankful for you. And this 1 year anniversary, it's very important that we stay abreast of not just getting it and making monies and things of that nature, because we're gonna do that. Jeff White gonna ride his bike every day and sell a book.
And he gonna feed the ducks.
And he gonna feed the ducks, Julie. He gonna feed them. We're gonna get him your popcorn to feed him. Feed him, Julie. Right. We're gonna ship some popcorn down to Jeff. Right.
The Duck Chronicles on Facebook.
The Duck Chronicles.
Chanel is going out of town every other week when cause she's Chanel. And this is what Moonglade does. She going
and
to the
Chanel is gonna feed the ducks wherever she goes.
Absolutely.
Getting that hair roll from Chanel, but I guess she's not gonna do it. That's all right. There you go.
There you go, right there.
Yeah, thank you for noticing that Chanel sneezed, because for a minute I thought she was dabbing on it based on what Dick said. Yeah, I thought she dabbed on it. Like,
that was a good point, huh, Dee? Right. No, she was sneezing.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
She was dabbing on them. Jeff, she won't sneeze, she was dabbing on them. I agree with each of you. And Jeff, like you said, it's like we have to accept it. You know, we have people, we have friends. When I was trying to change my career path so I can make more money as a single mother, it was my manager who says, Alethea, wait a minute, when I interviewed you, you know, you said you did this, you said you did that. She says, I think you're ready to be a project manager. You just don't know it yet. She says, I think you have it in you. I'm going to give you a chance to prove it. And in doing so, she made me a senior regional project manager for the East Coast. Then she started sending me to the West Coast. And then years later, that skill set kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. But it was for different people, not people of my own race that was trying to help me get down that path. You know, they helped me, they taught me, just the same as now with this, you know, working on this film. When I had the chance to work with people of my color, they were trying to loan shark me. They weren't teaching me anything. They were just figuring out all the percentages they can take away. But I found someone who mentored me and is teaching me the industry, as well as supporting the projects that I'm working with. And so, you know, friendship comes in different ways, and we learn and grow. And like Jeff was saying, you know, you can't expect all the time it would be nice, but some people are in that mode. I got mine, you need to get yours. You know, so we'll say, don't close the door on everything. If someone is offering you a hand of support, accept it, but don't take advantage of it, because then you can burn your bridges. You know, learn what you can, and, you know, continue to move on and be thankful. You know, hopefully you'll still be able to use that person as a mentor for your growth. But that's, you know, sometimes those are sacrifices we need to make so we can continue to grow and advance ourselves. So I agree on that respect. You know,
And
but we-
Alethea, I want to say too, and everything happens within its timing.
exactly.
Some things is in you can control, but most things is out of our control. But you got to press forward. You got to stay focused. You got to be intentional and keep moving
I agree. I agree. You know,
and
and that's,
feed the ducks.
yeah, and feed the ducks for day 24 and everything.
I think that is the cutest thing when I open up Facebook and I see the Duck Chronicles going on. That's the
Duck Chronicles.
coolest thing, to really see these babies. These babies. Fine example. Those baby ducks collaborate and come together. They don't go to the left or to the right. When one move, they all move. Why can't we be that way?
Exactly.
If somebody is feeding us, if God is feeding us everything that we need, why can't we move to the left or the right and pedal our little feet like them little ducks do? Thank you, Jeff.
Now, Julie just brought
Together, Julie.
look, now I got the Ludacris song in my head. When I move, you move, just like that.
Just like that. I'm gonna tell you on a little side note. I keep putting those out because I'm sick of the negativity I see on Facebook.
Yes.
So it's just a little light thing, just like quality time. We outside. It's like away from everything, you know. But
They're
yeah, those
teaching
definitely
us
gotta
so
hustle.
much. They teach
Yeah.
us so much, just like what
They
I
do.
said. They move together. They move in packs. They come when one come, they come and they out.
Mhm.
They all
How
come.
fast they
Yeah.
move and they out.
Like Fred, they
Yeah.
got the bread again. Fred, come on, let's go get the bread. Fred, get the bread. Yeah, I love it too, and I love Jeff's relationship with his son, and I like seeing that part too, because they're having so much fun, and you know, and that's a plus too. So you know, you look forward, you know, what he's instilling in his son, and those bonds,
Yeah.
you know, that makes everything. So I love those too. So
Appreciate that.
we are going to continue on the rest of this month and starting into next month, still going into our 1-year anniversary. And so we're going to start talking more about that, bringing it. But tonight we just felt we wanted to have a heart-to-heart with our listeners. So we hope you enjoyed. We look forward to talking to you again soon.